And if you really can buy into what I just said, you are in full control with no exaggeration, exactly what you want, what you need, and how you're going to actually do it. You can get so focused that you can do what I call good damage to yourself.
Welcome everyone to another episode of Millionaire Secrets. This is Jeff Lerner, your host. Always so excited to be here with you, having amazing conversations with amazing entrepreneurs. Today, we are joined by a next level entrepreneur, Mr. Bobby Castro. He took a 9th grade education and a very small investment and turned it into Bankers Healthcare Group, which I don't know the valuation on that company, but I know his valuation is multiple hundreds of millions of dollars. He was the Ernst & Young Entrepreneur of the Year in 2012. His company was on the Inc. 500, 5,000 list 13 times. I was on it twice. So I'm like, wow, that's 6 times more. He's been recognized in pretty much every big list or publication that you can be recognized in for entrepreneurship. He was a keynote speaker at 10X Growth Conference. And now he's our luminary guest on Millionaire Secrets. Bobby, welcome to the show.
Wow, Jeff, very nice of you to say all those things. Thank you for having me. Really excited about being here.
Well, it was nice of you to do all those things. It makes it easy to introduce when you have all these accomplishments, so.
Yeah, well, it's amazing when you don't get distracted in la la land, how you can accomplish so much in your day. And one day, literally one day, Jeff, wake up and say, wow, did I actually do this? And it feels good. It feels really good. And I call it global success, man. Forget about financial freedom. It's how you feel. Well said.
And you said the magic word, focus. Focus, I think is the word you said. Let's talk a little bit about focus. We live in a very unfocused world. If we could capture 2020 in a nutshell, I would say, maybe not unfocused, but I would say very focused on very destructive, unproductive things.
Yeah.
Instead of, this is my life, this is my opportunity, let me go make it happen. What is your key to staying focused? I mean, you started at such a young age, and I want to hear more about your story, but first, just how do you stay so on it?
It's crazy if your listeners and viewers can really buy into this and more so remain with what I'm about to at least say what worked for me and what continues to work for me. Each of us, you, I, all of us, we control our own RPMs. We control our own levers as fast as we want, as slow, as focused as we want to be. We're in full control. I had no idea of that. I'm a very hyper individual. And many, many years ago, I was all over the place. I was so easily to fall victim of just getting distracted. And if you really can buy into what I just said, you are in full control with no exaggeration at all, exactly what you want, what you need, and how you're going to actually do it. You can get so focused that you can do what I call good damage to yourself.
So because I consider myself to be a very focused, driven person. I maintain a very rigid schedule. I say rigid, a very organized and structured schedule. I mean, it's got the wiggle that it needs to have. But I'd love to hear from someone else. Talk to me about what focus looks like in an actual life. What are you saying yes to? What are you saying no to? What's the difference between your day and maybe the average day?
Well, just imagine, I'm one that loves goals, but I don't fixate it. I don't fixate myself so much on the goal. I really fixate on exactly how am I going to get there, the strategy. So my life, I come from no money. My hardworking family absolutely had no money, negative zero money. And I knew many years later after I got it, that I truly needed to be so focused that it was too much for my family, too much for other people to really even deal with me. And I started figuring out, I was so focused that I knew this is my weakness. That was my weakness. I'm horrible at this, terrible at that. I immediately shifted to get people that were awesome at those things versus fight in the system of trying to be awesome at something that I was not at all. I wasn't awesome at it. And I leveraged that to the point where I kept leveraging it more and more and surrounding myself with people that have better skill sets in certain areas.
You said a couple things. One, you were talking about, you were so focused that you realized there were people in your life who you cared about, but they weren't going to be able to deal with you.
Yep.
And that you were kind of doing, it sounds like you were doing both parties, them and yourself, a favor to just say, okay, you were going to put this on simmer while I go over here and do this thing. Because if we're trying to, boil the water over here while I'm tending to this thing over here, we're just going to be creating friction and tension, because I'm not going to be able to show up for you the way you want me in the relationship that you're accustomed to. Am I accurately describing it?
And it's a great way to measure where you really invest your non-refundable minutes. And I started figuring out, in order to move the needle in a very big way, not a little way, I really wanted to be wealthy. First, I wanted to be rich, wasted a lot of energy trying to be rich, because rich comes with a stop sign. Wealthy, there's never a stop sign. You get rich on the way becoming wealthy. And I knew that I really had to separate myself from a lot of distractions, and that includes family members. I have some amazing family members, and I have war stories with family members. I've had beautiful people in my family have committed suicide, taken their lives, overdosed on drugs, died from drugs. Stories that a lot of us have, but I recognize that this was just something that was a distraction. It was misery. It was negative. It was dark, and something had to change, and nothing was going to change, Jeff, man. And I tried it. I tried it for many years. I'm 53 years old. I'll be 54 March 1st, just right around the corner. The only time it changed, when I changed, and I had to separate myself because I was stuck with all what I just described, including all my family members and associations, man. We're very loyal people, us humans. We're very loyal, especially family. Family sometimes brings you the most pain, man, love and pain. And it was hard for me to separate. And I did so, and I grew, not because I outgrew them. I just wanted more. I wanted new information, new ways. I didn't know anything. I was making disasters of mistakes, huge mistakes. And talking about mistakes, man, I was just on a phone call today with a great entrepreneur. He was complaining about all these mistakes. And I said, those are the most profitable investments if you don't repeat them and you don't give up on them. And so separation sometimes is good. You can always revisit family, but in order to grow, man, you can't stay where you're at, including sometimes your family.
So I'm curious.
That's hard. That's hard for most to really take in. And I hope I'm coming across with a lot of love, but I'm just truly trying to help other entrepreneurs, saying, man, if you want it, if you truly want it, you're going to have to sacrifice everything. Yeah.
And that's not selfish. I think that's the biggest thing that I've had to learn. Fortunately, I have very, very positive, supportive, nurturing parents. I never had, and really my family in general. I never had to really pull away from family, but friends, so much so, massive, to the point. And friendships are different from family. Like, blood never dies. Like there's friends, I'm just not friends with them anymore. Because I pulled away and they didn't want to deal, and they had resentment in it, and now it just kind of fizzled out. But there's that sense, and I'm curious how, if you've had to deal with this, of like, oh, so-and-so thinks they're better than me. So-and-so is abandoning me. So-and-so judges me. Any of that?
I don't worry about that. There's an old saying when people maybe say, hey, Bobby, you've changed so much, meaning that they're not happy with your change. Really, the problem is that they did not change. They did not grow, including family members. I'm in a position where I now am able to massively help family. Before, I couldn't help them the way I'm helping them now, helping what I do today. And that's a big reward you get. So remember, if someone's telling you, man, you changed, Bobby, you're just not the same. Rock and roll, man. Rock and roll on that.
Yeah, as if that's somehow intrinsically a bad thing. If a guy drops 100 pounds and you're like, man, you've really changed. You're not the guy I remember. And you're like, yeah, I'm healthy now. That's a good thing.
I am that same person I was when I had no money. I'm a very humble individual. I do not feel the worth that my wife and I together, just not me, man. It's not a me, I show. It's Bobby and Sophie. We're really grounded and very close to people, man. People are amazing. They can help you scale. They can help you realize mistakes. They all teach us lessons, good, bad, and ugly.
And the other thing you said, talking about people, is that you quickly identified your weaknesses and you plugged those gaps with better people that were better at those things. The reason I emphasize that point is, for you, this was 25 years ago, right? When you were kind of starting these businesses. In the world we live in now, and at least for my audience, I have so many people that are trying to go virtual with entrepreneurship. They want to start a digital business, which is great. I did it back in 2008 and I love the internet. And it's actually, but the principle is true. I think the internet kind of warps people's thinking sometimes, like you're alone, you're at your house, you're on your computer, you're not in an office, you're not surrounded by people. And so it's easier to be cloistered and think that there's nobility and extreme self-reliance. The reality is the internet makes it easier to leverage other people than ever because you don't have to hire them. You don't have to give them insurance. You don't have to put them on a payroll system. You literally go on Upwork for $200 and find somebody who's 100 times better at XYZ than you'll ever be.
Yep.
And yet so many people are still not getting that memo.
And I personally think it's crazy, man. You're right on the money. This technology will use and abuse you, or you can leverage it the way you just described. You can be a user of it. You can get lost in it. It's such a distraction, but it's such a powerful benefit that I did not have that is here today. So wherever you're focused and wherever you're investing your energy while you're on that internet, whether it's your smartphone, tablet, whatever you're reading, the video, all the beautiful flash you're going through Instagram, is it bringing you value? Is it bringing a return on your minutes? Or you're sinking and staying stuck and getting on this addiction of being a user? There's no difference of being a user of crack, cocaine, narcotics versus internet. Where's your attention? Where are you investing it? Because what you feed your attention to, you shall receive it.
I am so glad that you just linked the word user, or used the word user to connect the internet and crack. Because most people have a very similar relationship with the internet and specifically social media, but frankly, all types of internet information distribution. They have a very similar relationship to, I've been watching this documentary about crack in the 90s and how it took over that's
on Netflix.
Yeah. You know what I'm talking about, right? Yeah. It's literally like neurologically, it's doing the same thing to the brain.
Yep.
We are not making this up. This isn't just our moral opinion about the internet. That's a fact. The difference is there really was no way to harness crack for good.
Yep.
But to your point, you can absolutely harness the internet for good.
I'm telling you, man, it's such a distraction. It's gonna destroy lives at the same time, create incredible wealth for others. It's a business where you don't, as you said, there's no HR, there's no personalities. It's very efficient. It's very productive. It's very profitable, but yet 99% of them are users being lost on all this flash dance, I call it, on Instagram. And I'm looking at it and I'm saying to these young entrepreneurs, and you're asking me, my non-refundable minutes, Bobby, what is a sauce? Well, before you get into strategies, systems, process, and the progress, man, you got to take care of yourself. Where are you spending your energy? This internet, Jeff, man, and I just came on social media a little bit over a year ago, on and off, because I sold that business. I'm telling young entrepreneurs, man, how serious are you being an entrepreneur? A lot of them are awesome. I want to do it. I want to do a podcast. Why do you want to do a podcast? In the meantime, you want to invest in real estate. You want to do this. You're all over the place. What do you want?
Hey, sorry for the interruption. I just wanted to let you know you can get a free copy of my book, The Millionaire Shortcut, which will show you the fastest way to become a millionaire in the new economy. And there's a special link just for this episode in the description. So thanks for tuning in, and I hope you enjoy the rest of the episode. I'm stealing this term, your non-refundable minutes.
You don't get them back.
And for the record, you're not differentiating between your refundable minutes. All minutes are non-refundable minutes.
Absolutely, right? Man. Invest them wisely.
So, When did you sell your business? You mentioned you sold it recently, last year.
I sold it 18 months ago for $1 billion. The business today is well over $2 billion. It's a fantastic business, unbelievable. I had an amazing 500 plus co-workers. They weren't employees, they were my partners, man. Without them, I wouldn't be sitting here representing that to you today, Jeff. It wasn't just about me. So about 18 months ago, and then during all the years, I did something, me and my wife did Stack and Rack. We learned big lessons where we saved our money. I do believe it takes money to make money. And we saved and we racked them into multifamily investments throughout the years. And today we have a $400 million cash flow and real estate portfolio that we built during the process of building this business that we sold for $1 billion. And when we got so fixated about real estate and we understood finally the underwriting, we said, oh my God, the only thing that's missing is money now. It motivated us to pay attention to our business, to make more money so we can rack them into long-term generational wealth investments. And again, without Sophie, man, this deal is a 50-50. It was not a Bobby Castro show.
Yeah, I have a Jacqueline to your Sophie, and I live it, man. Every day I know exactly what you mean. I shudder to think of the degenerate wasteoid that Jeff Lerner would be without Jacqueline.
I love it.
Yeah, I would not want to meet that person or certainly do any business with him. But, I also really, really like the way that you're contextualizing real estate. I talk a lot about real estate. And I think because a lot of my audience is sort of an aspirational, kind of startup level entrepreneur, that maybe there's some misunderstanding. So I appreciate you saying this. I'm going to clear it up right now. Real estate is amazing once you have some money.
Yep.
Real estate is a totally different, far more speculative and risky way to generate $1. And I learned that the hard way, by the way, trying to buy properties in my 20s when I was a piano player, and I was literally taking my tip jar money, trying to convert it into a flip house or something. And it was just a debacle, and I ended up with a bunch of foreclosures. So, but I also love what you said is that there really is no greater long-term wealth creation vehicle in the world than real estate. I mean, taken over a long period of time, right? I'm sure, some Bitcoin billionaire would argue with me right now, but it is seeing that truth. If nothing else in this world should fire you up to go either use a skill or a business to make a crap load of money so that you can convert it into a crap load of money for your great grandkids.
And at the same time, sell that business that you were making the money, that you will be making the money to invest in this generational wealth real estate sector. And at the same time, being smart, being productive, Jeff, by making the money, you're building a business. You can't forget about valuation. You want to build something that's worth something.
Right.
You don't want to work all these years and have it not worth nothing just because you were able to stack $50 million in apartments. How come you didn't pay attention and sell that business at the same time for $50 million? It's critical. And I love to tell real estate investors, and I preach about it all the time, and some may disagree with me, some may agree with me. I don't know, nor I care. Two things I recommend. Learn about real estate. That is an investment. It's called your non-refundable minutes. It's priceless. It's the most expensive. The minute is priceless, so expensive. Then number two, start small. I started big. I completely crashed. Start small, because what happens is this confidence. It's called momentum. It starts building. You start building. You start being a lunatic. People have a hard time dealing with me because I'm so over the top of creating value, because this momentum starts stacking and this foundation can never be knocked down. And I like to tell young people or anybody, man, learn about real estate, because when you make money in real estate, it's on the buy. It's never on the sale. And number two, start small so you can make the mistakes.
Yeah. First of all, I just appreciate this conversation, because I think I might have met someone who's as extra as I am. Like when you talk about, like, people have a hard time dealing with you because you're just so fixated on, multiplying value and like all this stuff that passes for normal life for, quote, most people. Like, it's so uninteresting. I just don't get it. Like, why is that interesting? Why are we doing that dance? Like, I don't like the music. Why am I going to dance the song? Right. But you're right. It is what, how did you acquire the resolve or fortitude or unique personality, whatever, to just be so effective at blocking out what most people allow in?
Love the question. So check this out. I didn't speak till I was nearly 7 years old. I was an introvert, believe it or not. Going back to drugs, I'm not a drug user. A lot of people say, man, you're so hyper, Bobby. You take speed, you take cocaine. No, man, I take life. What happens, there's no difference. We're all human. We get addicted to something. You become obsessed with something. We all have that trait. Don't fight it. At least this is how I talk to myself. Build on this. And I started building on this fixation of compounding the dollar. I find it so fascinating. I can care how much is in there. I just keep creating value. And I'm so fixated. My gosh, I can take $1 to 5, 5 to 10. And of course, managing risk, just not being a cowboy out there. You become addicted to it. But at the same time, this is the magic. Not losing yourself because of money. A lot of people get this success, they get this financial freedom, and all of a sudden they change. You got to stay truly to the core value, because I believe a true entrepreneur, when you link your personal life, your core values with your business, they're both aligned together, man. Do not let this one just get away from you. And I've seen it happen so many times over and over. I'm blessed to be surrounded by some awesome people that are far more financially successful than I am, but more so have far more impacted lives than I have. So when we sold the company, our program was to make others successful. And I'm so blessed and grateful to say right here to you, to your audience, that I'm grateful that I made people a millionaire as I became successful. That becomes an addiction. And as that addiction grows, you're scaling and you're doing good. You're helping charity, you're helping this donation. So imagine feeling the way I just said, but really the fact of it, not just making it up what I'm saying. You will want to continue feeding it and fertilizing it every freaking day, because I wake up, man, just like you see me today. I'm jacked up, ready to rock and roll all day, every day. I'm positive. I think life is beautiful. I treat everybody with kindness. Everyone has something for me. I have something for them. And you get hooked on that, man. No, most people can't jive with it, which is fine, because that's why I don't have many distractions. I don't have many friends. I just don't have much common interest with a lot of people, because this is me all day, every day. And I just don't see negativity.
Oh man, I say all the time, I resonate with what you're saying so much. I tell people, I have a problem. I have a medical, it's like a psychological condition. I can't see people as they are. I see them as they could be, which is awesome if I feel that they're willing to come in that direction. I want that relationship. But if I feel that they're married to that gap and they don't want to budge, I can't. It's like I can't process it. It just makes me feel uncomfortable.
There's no value there. You're moving on.
So here's the thing. I mean, to the cynic out there, you sold your company for $1 billion and now you're in a great mood. Big whoop. I'm going to go ahead and assume that when you started this company back in 2001 with, I believe what you said, I think your bio said it was a $25,000 investment that you used to start this company.
Yep.
Is that right?
25,000 that I didn't have.
Yeah. So the value multiplication factor, I'm before there was, clients and prosperity and cash flow and lines of credit, it was probably this energy. Am I wrong?
1,000%, Jeff. No credit lines, no loans, no investors, no raising money, including that $400 million in real estate, none of it. Heel toe, truly hard work. This energy that you're witnessing was about that, and it still is today. I am telling everybody, you don't have to be a trust fund baby. You don't have to beg people for money. You just need to pay attention to you and where you're investing your non-refundable minutes. You'll be so surprised, man. You get 3 days out of 1 day when you manage your minutes correctly and really value on the efforts where you're paying attention to. And I just get off on it, man. It's amazing what you can create in a day. I just think it's like a no-brainer, but I'm getting it as I'm on the social media that most people can't get it. And the reason they can't get it, they're distracted on the social media.
Yeah,
I tell them, just don't follow me. Don't listen to my reminders, man, because if I'm not I'm just here for a moment in time, sharing from my heart. I don't sell packages. I'm not a coach. I made my money like I'm representing, man. And if it's not for you, man, do something else. You get something else.
Yeah, that's such an interesting way to describe it. Like, I think when I'm on social media, I'm trying to be the most nutritious morsel that you can consume on social media, but I'm still the second best option. The best option would be get the hell off.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's so funny. So let's talk about that inception, that early stage of your company. You know, $25,000 you come up with somehow or other. You sold a car or something, and you start this business. And to walk me through those very clumsy early stages, like attracting the first employee, coming up with the business plan, like all the messy stuff that you never see on the cover of Fast Company.
Well, it started in a crisis, and I like to say, and it's crazy, all these crises, there's treasure there, man. Even today with this COVID, I can't tell you how much opportunities in front of you. And we started that in when the World Trade Center got destroyed. World was coming to the end. The worst time to ever start a business. We started the business there, not because, we have a great business to start. We were trying to survive and maintain as leasing brokers. We had no employee. We had no money to pay any employees. The $25,000 that was started was already in an account. It wasn't even my money. My wife, we both worked. I worked at the Rusty Pelican, waiting on tables on Key Biscayne in Miami, selling memberships for the Better Business Bureau during the day. My wife was at a medical office doing medical work behind the desk. And we started this, back then it was a fax machine. There was no internet, there was no emails. And I would call on business owners. And it was like the fifth, sixth time I started over in life from big mistakes, not paying attention to me, getting my crap fixed, because you can't do anything. You can't go in business. You can't hire somebody. No one's ever going to say yes to your customer until you really, truly, you fix your crap. And I was a total mess. Again, no narcotics, a mess, meaning I was all over the place. I used to get classified ads. Anything that said, make $1 million today, make $1 million tomorrow, Bobby would go ahead and send away for the package every day in the mail. My mom would get it. It was just overwhelmed mail packages of just business opportunities. And I was just busy doing the business opportunity. Look at the package, getting all jacked up and excited, not doing nothing with anything, and always finding a reason to I just got there. That was my stop sign, because it's easy to get motivated. It's hard to stay up there. And then finally, I had no choice. I had a daughter, man. She's 30 years old, Priscilla. She has two beautiful children, my grandbabies, and her husband. And Priscilla was born, man. We had no money. I was living at my in-laws, Jeff. Check this out, man. In Hialeah, both of my in-laws, they're no longer around. My father-in-law just passed 2 weeks ago. And 90 years old, just old age dementia. And I was living at their house, totally broke again. And my wife pulls up with a Mustang, old beat up Mustang that was given to us by her parents, no air conditioning here in South Florida. It's a lot of humidity. And it's the motor where it does reverse fumes that you get nauseous. And my baby girl's in the back. So I walk out of Pedro and Dixie's house, and my beautiful wife pulls up. She had her baby when she was 19 years old, pulls up. Peach is peach, not because any makeup. It was so darn hot, and my daughter Priscilla in the back seat. And that was a day, that was an eye opener with me. And for some reason, I don't know it today, I was just blown away. I said, man, I'm a mess. I almost felt like I was like on crack or narcotics trying to recover. I was so distracted with I knew I wanted to be successful, but I was like this in my mind. I can't describe it. And I don't know if there's other Bobbies. As a matter of fact, I know there's other Bobbies like this. And that's where I had to go get a job, get a waiter, be a waiter, start over, living in reality, starting over. One thing led to another thing. Met somebody selling the memberships at the same time with the business opportunity package. It was, it was just lined up. Started working for the individual. Then finally went on my own. The individual passed away, 89 years old. gave me his Rolodex of all his contacts. I started putting on my people skills, started listening, stop jabbering, got people to like me, because when they like you, they trust you and they say yes, because I figured out the biggest gem here, guys. You meet one person that can impact your life. That one person knows 100 other people, and it just compounds, going back this momentum. And one thing led to another, and people started liking me, and I started saying thank you, and I started just being polite. I didn't have this ego, because I always say ego's not your amigo. I surrendered to all my complications, all my personality weaknesses, and I started changing, because if I didn't change, my friggin' daughter was not gonna have food. And we started, man, in an apartment building under an eviction in Miami Lakes. I got an apartment we couldn't afford. We should have stayed at Pedro and Dixie's house. And we started one thing at a time. We hired our first employee, my brother's wife's, at that time, girlfriend, brother. He was a mailman. I convinced him to quit his job. He was a mailman for like 12 years. He quit his job, became a salesperson, calling on other business owners to sell me equipment. We started getting into the medical space. One thing led to another thing. And I mean, it's a long story, but again, borrowed no money. Nobody wanted to give me money. I had no credit. I had bad credit. I had every reason to fail, but I started over by being a waiter. My mom was a waitress all her life, 3 full-time jobs. She lived on her couch. She was in a hospitality. So I saw the people skills. Every time she serviced the people, good experience, she was rewarded 18%. Not like today, they automatically put 20% on there. And I saw how hard she worked. You know, she supported us. We lived on Rent-A-Center. My mom's just an amazing individual, 80 years old. And, you know, I learned a lot from my mom of people skills. I saw her, what she did. I just duplicated the hospitality philosophy to customers, and my closing ratios, my sales. I just started surrendering and bending to my complicated ways, man. I started just looking at other people, how they were successful. That one mentor I had, I seen how he approached people, how he dealt with people, how he was kind to people. And he used to just get a lot of yeses.
I'm hearing a really profound blend of humility and enthusiasm.
Yep. Love it.
I mean, that feels a little bit like a formula. People are like, well, what can I do? What can I focus on when, you know, things maybe seem crazy? Humility, which doesn't just mean not being cocky. It means doing whatever the hell you have to do to move the ball down the field, however thankless or inglorious. And
beautiful what you just said, man. You just hit me. You hit me that I just got chills. That's a beautiful way to just describe that. Thank you for that.
Of course. I mean, it radiates, it oozes out of you, man. And then enthusiasm, that the power of unreasonable enthusiasm. I'll share with you briefly. When I started my current business, Entre Institute, where we teach entrepreneurship, you know, I've had some ups and downs, but I've had a couple really successful business ventures. I mean, it's all relative. I haven't sold my company for $1 billion, but you know, enough that, and I was a broke jazz musician coincidentally living with my in-laws, only she left me. Now they're my ex-in-laws. You know, so I had some wins. And a couple of years ago, I sold one of my businesses for multiple 7 figures. You know, it wasn't 10 figures, but it was enough. It was like, okay, for an broke jazz musician, you know, I've done some things. So I'm going to teach people what I think it really takes to be an entrepreneur. And the reason I'm telling you the story though, is for a year, I didn't sell anything.
Yeah, hold on. It's my granddaughter. She wanted to come and just say hi. She's in the office.
Hi.
Hey, welcome to Millionaire Secrets.
Say hi. Say hi. You got to say hi, Yoshi.
Yeah.
Okay, let Papa finish. Beautiful. Oh my gosh, I'll talk to you a little bit.
I'm glad they came on the show. It's so important. Like we're, you know, even though we're pretty intense, we still have like families and stuff, right? But anyway, I didn't sell anything for a year. I focused entirely on giving away what I knew to the world. And I didn't even have a course. I didn't have a product to sell. And I used to get so much negative energy from people because there would be this guy that would pop up in their Facebook feed who's like just telling them, you know, hey, here's how affiliate marketing works, or here's how I closed a $100,000 sale, or here's something I figured out. And the fact that I wasn't selling them, they could not process the positivity coupled or decoupled from a sales agenda. It was like it didn't compute. They're like, there's no way this person is being this positive and this enthusiastic when he's not trying to sell me something. And so they would get mad and they would attack me. And but eventually I wore them down. And I came up with this idea of being unreasonably enthusiastic. That it's one thing to be enthusiastic, but to get to the point where you have no basis for your enthusiasm because people are coming at you, or the world seems out to get you, or life isn't fair. And then to still be enthusiastic, that unreasonable phase of enthusiasm, that's where the magic starts to happen.
Yep.
And sure enough, we finally sold a course, and in a year and a half, we've done some pretty amazing things, but unreasonable enthusiasm, I just think is so key.
It's amazing. I can relate to that a lot, Jeff, man. Being all about value, giving value with no motives, letting something grow because value is going to be returned back to you. That's an amazing story. It's very similar to what I get. I get a couple comments here and there, and Ken, I'm very new to the social media. Do I really like it? I'm really kind of disappointed, to be honest with you, only because I'm so about value, and I'm yelling to these young people about getting distracted. And some comments, Bobby, yada, 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 you got 300, you got 400, I'm happy for you. Why are you doing all this? Instead of saying, I'm here just for, instead of realize what I'm saying, I'm here for a moment in time. I'm 53 years old, man. I'm just wanting to help another Bobby that's like this, to let him or her know you too can do it, Bobby and Sophie. And they're skeptical. And that shows you who you're surrounding yourself with. It shows you your surroundings, your environments, what you're reading, what you're diving into life. Because if you don't understand that core value, and there's some good people out there, you need to change your crowd. You need to change you and start understanding you want to be surrounded by people that give you value with no motives and only good intentions. And I was fortunate to pick up on that on some individuals I met in business. And by mistake, not by strategy, I bought into it. And I'm very thankful I did.
It's so interesting. Yeah, I mean, I think that's really astute. You're like, if you think that everybody's out to get you, it's because in your little microcosm of the world, everybody may be out to get you. But this is what drives me nuts. It's ridiculously naive and short-sighted to think that your tiny little subset of experience in the world, like like 200 people, 300 people. Therefore, that brush must apply. Let me paint 7 billion people with the same brush.
Wow.
That's insanity. That's like saying I met a mosquito, so I understand an elephant. Like,
I love that.
So true, man. There are people out there who have these kinds of conversations. Like, I didn't pay you to come on the show.
Yep.
You don't have a free giveaway or a funnel. Nope. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with having funnels.
Building relationships. And it's amazing. A lot of people say, well, I don't know anybody. Well, I always like to tell young people or anybody that's willing to listen, take out some people out of your life for a moment in time so you have room. Yeah. So now you can see what's in front of you that you're not paying attention to because you're in the weeds, you're in the woods, you can't see it.
Yeah, a lot of times, like what you just said, it's not about needing to know more people. It's actually about needing to know less people as a starting point.
It's the only way you have room for new people.
Yeah. Amen. Well, Bobby, this has been an incredible conversation. I was already in a pretty good mood, but I'm like extra jazzed now. So, thank you for coming on the show, man. This is incredible, and congratulations on a $1 billion exit, and what that represents. Money, right? But what that represents about your way of being in the world, and that it's ultimately rewarding to be value focused.
And I want to just lastly say, be about global success. Anybody willing to listen? Money does not bring you happiness. I'm telling you, front and center, guys, it does not bring you happiness. Global success does. And what is global success? You're able to impact others. You're able to build a school for kids. You're able to help true individuals that are in need. And you feel good about it. And it's hard to get there, man. It took me a while to understand what global success is. I thought it was all about the money. I'm not saying that now because I have a little money. This was way back many years when I had far less money. I started grasping it. And I promise you, man, so much global success will come in your life, your marriage, your relationship with your children, your life, how you see life. You just see so much positive, man. And I'm hoping, that can resonate with somebody out there.
Yeah. And I couldn't agree more. My experience simply echoes what you just said. How can people go get more of this amazing energy?
There's an Instagram official Bobby Castro. My son did that for me. When I sold my business, he did it because he knew dad was going to have a hard time going 100 miles per hour down to zero, nothing to do. And I love him for it. And it has brought me a tremendous amount of value. So on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, and I don't know how much longer I'll do it for. I did it for a while, and then I got off because I'm so busy creating my own life in general. But every so often I find a need to help another Bobby out there, man. And, it's all about that.
There was a Jeff going like this too for a long time. So it's not just the Bobbies that need help.
Jeff, you and I, we're maybe a little bit more mature than some of these younger entrepreneurs or people that inspire to be an entrepreneur. And if they can mentally mature their mind, you can be 23, 21, 25. You can get there, man. You do not have to be 54 to understand what I'm telling you. So true.
So true. I didn't, it sounds like your kind of pivot was your switch flipped at like maybe around 33.
Yeah.
33, 35. For me, it was like 29 years old. I was just a working, gigging musician all through my 20s. And I love musicians. They're brilliant, creative, excellent at what they do, but it's not the most entrepreneurial, value focused community in the world. And
who knows, man, I wish that this internet was around way when I was young. Who knows what I would have accomplished today. But that was nice.
Right. It doesn't have to, there's no matriculation point where you're old enough to get it. Man, Bobby Castro, easily one of the most enthusiastic interviews I've ever had. So lucky I got him on the show. And if you love that interview, I guarantee you'll love the one that I did with Tim Story on how to turn your setbacks into $1 million comebacks. Check it out, and thanks for watching Millionaire Secrets.